Hey guys, what's going on? So in this one, we're going to be covering the first half SOS boss for P5X Global version 2.4. But unlike last week's Messa SOS boss, I think this one does lend itself maybe like slightly more to Ryuji with these tremor amplifications, because he will at least be able to get this 40% final damage increase. He'll be able to get it for his last two God Hand bursts, so that should help scores on Ryuji a little bit. But I am going to be running a Messa team. Moko 1, Chord 2, Wonder 3, Messa 4 with Futaba as navigator. And then Wonder is going to be running Eye of Obsequies, which is the Messa dagger, with Chernobog, Dominion, and Janosik. If you have Machina, don't worry about it, you can just use that. But if you have this, why not use it if you got it, right? And then I'll put the slot-ins on the screen, but in terms of, slot-ins this week, it's just going to be a tough one because, like I said, if you don't have Messa, you're going to want to use Ryuji. If you don't have Ryuji, then you're kind of just going to have to make do with like an on-team, or you can't even use Fox, so because he's on the other side. But yeah, so maybe just the on-team would be your best option if you don't have either of them. But yeah, if you have any questions about what's on screen, or if you have any questions that I didn't address, just leave it down in the comments and I'll do my best to answer whatever I can for you. And as for personas, in terms of Chernobog, you're just going to need Verdict of Agony, which he comes with. You can put whatever other, additional stuff you want on him as passive abilities. Dominion, same thing. We just need Cohesion. You can kind of put whatever else you want on him. And then Janosik, we're going to need Racunda, just to apply the Racunda and Mark kind of at the end of the fight. Shout out to Yukaru for the suggestion on Janosik. As for builds, my Mesa is running Wisdom and Oppression. Chord is running Trust and Prosperity. Moko is running Harmony and Victory. And Futaba is running Resolve and Labor. And then before we get into it, I do just want to briefly go over there's been back and forth on if the physical skills with the Ripper mode, or if just the bleed kind of proccing with the regular A2 is the best way to go. For me personally, at A0 Mesa with A0 Chord, A0 Moko, the whole team is A0. The bleed for basically the entire fight, except for the last turn, is where I was getting my best score. But if your Messa's A1, that could change. If your Chord is a higher awareness, that could change. If your Futaba is a higher awareness, that could change. People seem to be 50-50 from what I'm reading, what people are telling me. Some people are having the same level of success that I'm having with the bleed stuff. Some people are having worse success with that, better with the physical. I'm having much worse with the physical. Others are having much better than me with the physical. So I'm just going to kind of go with whatever was getting me the best score. I think this one is going to be really dependent on what kind of units you have. And yeah, other than that, I think I covered kind of everything I wanted to say. So I will see you on the other side for the fight. All right, so we'll start with skill 2 on Messa with Moko. Then Wonder will use Verdict of Agony on Titania. And now if you don't get the highlight here, don't worry about it. As long as you can use Messa's highlight when I use it next turn, you can follow this exactly. It really doesn't change anything. We'll go ahead and apply Unison Notes on Messa. And then he'll go ahead and use Moonlit Scalpel, start getting bleed stacks applied. And Futaba is going to be up, so we will go ahead and use her skill 1. Then Moko can use her skill 3. Wonder will swap to Dominion and use Cohesion. And now here's the turn where we're going to want to use Messa's highlight. So if you can, pick up with Messa's highlight here, doesn't matter if you can use that highlight on the first turn. We just want to use this now because if we can use the highlight before Messa's turn starts, he'll kind of lose a cooldown when his turn starts on the highlight, which will allow us to use it again on the last turn. Or we can go ahead and use Distortion on Titania. And then we'll go ahead and just start basically using the skill 2 the rest of the fight until the last turn. Again, depending on the awarenesses of your team, your Messa, your Chord, your Futaba, the physical skills might just, outpace the bleed damage. Basically, the way I figure it is use the regular skill 2, because the skill 2 will proc the bleed, and then count that damage, and then after Titania's turn, she'll take the actual bleed stacks, combine those together, and then go back and do it the same way again with the Ripper mode, skill 1, count that damage, and then after her turn, the bleed damage, add it together, and whichever one gives you more damage, that's kind of what I do. Futaba's up now, so she will go ahead and use her skill 3 on Messa. And then Moko will go ahead and use her skill 2 on Messa. Wonder will go back to Chernobog and use Verdict of Agony. Now Chord will use her Catchy Hook. If your Chord's a higher awareness and you can use Catchy Hook 3 times this fight, obviously you're going to want to adjust to do that. Mine cannot do that, so And then we will again use the regular skill 2. Like I said before, if your Messa is a higher awareness or some of your other units are higher awareness and the physical is outpacing, then switch to Ripper mode and use skill 1. And now we will go ahead and use Moko's skill 3. And now we can use Wonder's Highlight. Doesn't matter if you really use it here or the turn before. I like to just wait the extra turn because we have an extra turn to wait, basically. And you get like a little extra damage from Moko's, whatever debuff she puts on from her skill 3. Sure, it's kind of irrelevant in the long term, but in Dominion, we'll go ahead and use Toru Kaja on Messa. Chord, we'll go ahead and use Unison Notes, reapply this on Messa. Messa again, for me, we'll use the regular skill 2. Futaba's up again, so we'll reapply her skill 1 on Titania. Oko, back to her skill 2 on Messa. Wonder, back to Chernobog. We'll use Verdict of Agony again. Chord can use Distortion on Titania. And now we can use Chord's Highlight. And Messa, for me, again, we'll use regular skill 2. Might change for you, though. Even with Chord's Highlight, the bleed was still outpacing the Ripper mode skill 1 for me when I was testing it. But this is going to be like super unit dependent, I think. And Futaba will go ahead now and use her skill 3 on Messa to apply Virus to Titania. Moko can use her skill 3. And now Wonder will switch to Yanosik and use Fecunda on Titania. We'll get the mark on there too. And now Chord can use Catchy Hook on Messa. And now Messa can use his own highlight. And then Messa can go into Ripper mode. This is the only turn where the Ripper mode was doing more for me. And basically only because Titania won't proc the bleed, even if you use the regular skill 2, she won't proc the bleed on her action. The fight ends on this turn. So Pathology just does more than... Basically, the reason you do the bleed thing is because the bleed proccing twice per turn is usually better than Messa's skill. But because it's only going to proc once with the regular skill 2, it's better to just use Pathology here. At least it was for me. So almost 31. I wanted to break that 31 really bad, but yeah, this is kind of the best I could come up with. Again, I think this is just going to like vary greatly depending on like the awarenesses of all your units, not just Messa, because I've seen people with A0 Messas and higher awareness Chords and Futabas do a lot more with the physical. It's going to be like totally unit dependent here. I think it's just kind of up in the air. This is the best I could come up with. I ran it like a million times both ways, trying the Ripper mode strat, trying the bleed strat, and this is kind of the best combination of both that I could put together. So hopefully you guys found some use in this. Again, I know like most of you probably don't have Messa, but you know, Ryuji's getting pretty good scores here too. Like I think the physical multiplier is just gonna benefit kind of people who have Ryuji and don't have Messa a lot more than it did last week. I think last week's special effect was way more like you should really only be using Messa for this. This week I think Ryuji like has a lot more synergy with what the special effects are on Titania. But yeah, otherwise I don't really have a ton else to say. I may take like an extra day or two for the Fox side. Usually I put the SOS bosses out like back-to-back days. I don't know if I will for the Fox side. It may take me an extra day or two. But yeah, hanging on for dear life in the in 8-star. I don't know how long we're going to be able to hang around, but do my best to try and keep myself and hopefully help you guys keep afloat in 8 or rank up from wherever you're at. And yeah, I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate your support. As always, I will see you on the next one and have a good one.